Been all in me and you on the flop. Yeah. We would have.
No.
Yeah.
No, because I would have played it like a pussy.
Oh, well then, yeah.
And then made nothing.
If you played it like a man, you would have been.
Obviously, that's not going to happen.
66. 5 more.
No, yeah, we would have tangled.
Well, a little action here. Keating raises it with 10-9 suited, flops open-ended, and JR here.
That's an action flop, Bart.
With an 8. So a jack would be brutal for JR. Turns at 3.
Check.
Keating's going to fire here again. Full pot, 35,000. JR is a non-believer. He's going to call quickly at 104,000.
Alan Keating has a lot of money, we think, and he likes to throw it around, betting 35K into 34.2 on the turn with a 9-10 of diamonds. He's just putting the pressure on. The interesting decisions so far are JR's.
Yeah.
Like pre-flop, this feels kind of loose, but Jonathan, you made the argument on the podcast that you might just do the same thing that JR did when we're this deep, and it's Alan Keating who's going to toss a bunch of money in this pot.
Alan Keating is very spewy, plays a crazy amount of hands, does not care about the money, and as Grant said, these guys are insanely deep. I just don't see how you can just fold this hand. Now, it sucks. You're out of position. It's not cheap to see a flop, but we're just going to fold a lot, and sometimes we're going to connect. And Keating, as we see, puts in a lot of money when he doesn't have anything. Now, he has a straight draw here, of course, but still doesn't have a huge amount, and a lot of people are going to check back their straight draws on the turn. Keating isn't. I think it's really fine to check call here. It's fair if you disagree, to be clear, but I think it's reasonable.
To limp call, you mean, of course.
Of course I mean to limp call.
Yeah, I think it's just a spot that I'm not commonly in when I'm playing cash games. I'm not often this many blinds deep. It's hard to find a spot to be this many blinds deep.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it's right or not. I wouldn't do it in my games. Right. But, you know, it's a different spot. Maybe it's fine, especially when it's Alan Keating.
Yeah.
We get to the flop. Of course, JR has to call. Of course, Keating has to bet. The sizing seems pretty good for Keating. It's a dynamic board. We have a range advantage on this board, a slight range advantage. We have more sets and stuff. So betting 10K into 14 seems fine. You agree?
Absolutely.
And JR can't do anything but call, right?
Right.
All right. The turn is where things start getting spicy when Keating bets 35K after JR's check. What do you think about Keating's bet? Do you like it, and do you like the size?
I think if he's going to bet, he should be betting big. He doesn't have to bet full pot, but anywhere between 80% to 100% of pot is totally reasonable here. It is a dynamic board. There are flush draws out there. Now, JR may be playing flush draws aggressively sometimes, but probably not always.
Yeah.
I think charging him for that is great. You're also going to fold out when you bet this much. Probably, you would think, most 7s and most 8s. Now, we didn't fold out an 8 here, but most of the time, I think, gotta believe we're going to fold out all the baby pairs, basically. For the smaller pairs, queens, you assume you're not going to fold out yet.
Yeah.
But you also give yourself the option to bet huge on the river and try and attack those things with certain river cards. If an ace comes, we could bet again. Like ace queen almost is never in JR's range, right?
Right.
So I like the idea of sometimes we get fold equity right now, which I love. We have a hand that can make the nuts still. That's beautiful. And we leave ourselves sort of the door open to continue to win this pot on the river of now what is now a very big pot.
Yeah, I agree. I like the bet. The call is a bit of a different story. I think at this point, I know we talked about how Keating's the guy who's going to throw a lot of money at it. Maybe that's enough to make the call justifiable, but it's a pot-sized bet, and we crucially have the jack of clubs in our hand. We don't want to have the jack of clubs in our hand. That blocks a lot of Keating's reasonable bluffs. He has one of his reasonable bluffs with 9-10 of diamonds, but any club draw, of course, is a reasonable bluff. Blocking that is bad.
Yeah. And
we don't have that good of a hand-by-hand rank either, because we have plenty of queens in our range. If we have jack 8 off, we have a lot of queens in our range.
Absolutely. No, I think this is probably just a fold, even though you're like, I'm winning sometimes, but we can't call with everything. And we're probably going to play a lot of our draws more aggressively. So it's just not that good. As you said, we have all our queens. We're going to call. We're probably going to call on the river with all our queens too. So whatever, or most of our queens at least, right?
Yeah, I think it's time to cut and run.
Yeah, me too.
Cut whatever you're doing and run to nitro betting.
Whatever you're doing.
Yeah, cut it.
What?
Cut it out.
It could be bad.
Whatever. I don't care.
If you're saving someone's life right now, you're doing CPR.
Stop doing that and use the link in our pinned tweet to sign up for Nitro Betting. They give all sorts of free rolls to our people. There's an NFL Survivor pool going on that benefits only our people. You can't get in that anymore if you didn't get in early enough because you dumb.
But there's more coming.
Yeah. Use the link. Get in. Get the free rolls. Get the cool poker tournaments. Do all the fun stuff on Nitro Betting. We'll see you there.
And the river's a jack.
Oh, wow.
The river's a jack, so Keating makes the nuts, and JR sticks around and makes jacks up. And all in here, so checking an all in.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, 3x pot.
He wants it all.
JR has checked the river when he made jacks up, and 3x all in.
Wow.
322,000 effective. Oh my God.
Bart, all I'm going to say, and then I'm not going to say another word, he's the only man on the planet that could get paid here because of his image. And JR is not showboating here. He's thinking about it, and
This hand went from
I have this sick feeling.
little pot
Yes.
to just huge. And again, just the most unbelievable river, the offsuit jack, giving Keating the nuts, and JR jacks up. And this is a 3x all in.
God,
At
he's
the
really
end.
thinking about it, Bart.
I mean, obviously Keating has had a really, really tough night here, so maybe that's going through JR's mind. Although I don't know if I've seen Keating put this much money in as a bluff post flop.
No,
I mean, this is 3x all in here.
but he does know JR is not a Hanks, and he knows that, meaning that he could put it in a lot lighter than most.
He could be trying to bluff him, yeah.
Yeah, but JR's image, like, Keating knows that. He's a smart man. I don't know if JR's taking that into consideration, but he's really thinking about it.
Just a single raise pot, big blind versus straddle, limp raise call, and here we are at the end.
Wow.
Keating firing all three streets. JR sticking around and hits jacks up at the end, but now he's faced with a 3x all in. Oh.
I mean, he's got only about 50K in this pot, right, Bart?
And he makes the call. He makes the call.
Wow.
749,000.
And just like that. Oh, my gosh.
Oh man, the feeling in JR's stomach. He handles this well, but like
He's very wealthy.
yes,
To be clear, he
That's
just bought a $30
we don't
million
have to,
house.
We don't have to feel bad for him,
Right.
but you can feel for him in the moment. You know, he does the
Oh,
look
yeah.
away call, the one where he's like not even
Yep.
looking at the chips as they go in. It's like when you're getting a shot and you don't want to watch the needle go in type of thing. Just like, just tell me what happened. Just tell me what happened. I hope it's okay. And of course, it's the bad news. This is the biggest Pot and Hustler Casino live history as of this point, as of this recording. So, yeah, let's talk about these actions. We could talk about JR checking even. He could lead, right? He could
Yeah.
consider leading against Keating. Now, Keating is maybe the worst person to lead against because he has maybe the most bluffs as a percentage of his range of anybody that you could think of.
He probably has a lot of bluffs here. He has probably a very wide range pre-flop, which may still be very wide right now. He may, like, even though he's been betting all the way, he may just be betting a lot of it all the way. So like leading kills a lot of those bluffs opportunity to put money in the pot.
Right.
So that's the reason not to do
The
it.
only point would be to set the price against aces, kings, and good queens to like make
Right.
sure we get as much as we want, like a 90 to 100K bet out of those.
Yeah, that would be cool. But, you know, I think we're just going to have to live with our 50, 60, 70K that we're going to get and keep the bluffs alive. I think that's probably more profitable.
I agree. So I like the check that JR makes.
Yeah.
How about the bet that Keating makes? This is not a normal bet. This is, as I said in the podcast, this is like Michael Adamo tournament river sizing that you don't really see in high stakes cash games that much. It's over 3 times the pot.
This is wild, this bet sizing, to bet 322 into 104. I don't even know like what you're hoping that JR can have to call you with here. Like you're praying he has queen jack. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess
that's the one.
That's the hand, right? We don't block it, so that's good.
Yeah.
He can really have it, I guess. And you kind of almost assume there's nothing. Like you think mostly he's got queens when he calls the turn, Anything that isn't queen jack, you probably just assume is folded, and that's that. But we're going to take the full shot at queen jack.
Well, Keating does have a few things going for him. Number one is his reputation.
Yes.
We've been talking about it the whole time, right? He's known as the guy who was going to put a lot of chips in the pot, whether he has it or not. And having it is harder than not having it. So that's good for him.
It's really hard to have.
The commentators also mentioned that Keating has been losing in this session a lot. If he wins this pot, if he gets called, which of course he doesn't even get back to even, right? Or he gets around even. So that could be in JR's head too. He could be aware of Keating's current financial situation in the game and be like, he might just be spewing. He might be on tilt.
Yep.
You know? So those are in favor of Keating making this bet, this huge Mondo bet. What do you think? Do you think it's okay to do this as Keating?
I think if you're aware of your reputation like that, and if you know JR can afford to make the call,
We know he can.
so the money isn't going to scare him off at least. Now maybe the decision scares him off, like he still thinks for a long time, but that helps. If there's someone who's like, there's some people who just can't call this even if they have queen jack.
Right.
You should not make this play, right?
Agreed.
It has to be someone who's going to snap with queen jack, and I assume JR probably would.
Probably.
So that makes this at least okay. This still feels like, I don't know. I kind of want to just target the queens that aren't queen jack and capture all of those too. But I guess Keating's thinking, well, every time he has queen jack, I get all 322. So if I get 60 for the other queens, I still probably make more money when he's got queen jack.
It might be
fine.
With his reputation, it might be the best move. Who
Yep.
knows?
I think it probably is, but it's probably close. It's great that you can have this play even in you.
Yeah,
so.
it's cool. It's cool. And is it cool for JR to call from a poker theory perspective? Let's talk that one out.
I don't think so. I mean, look. If Alan Keating had bet $130,000, which is still 30% more than the pot, and is a humongous bet, I think we have to call probably quickly.
Probably, but still it's a bad spot. I mean, let's talk about
Yeah.
our distribution because we have to use some tools here to figure out if we can make a call like this.
Okay, let's do it.
We have some better hands by rank that we can call with queen jack. You mentioned that. We have queen 8 in our range. I mean, I think against Keating, we're probably not going to raise at any point post flop because we're just going to let him blast off a lot of the time. Queen 7 suited similarly.
We also have a real problem in our hand, which is the jack of clubs,
Yes.
right?
Having the club is really bad. I know it pairs up, but I think Keating's going to recognize that that's unlikely to be good a lot of the time if he has something like king jack or ace jack of clubs, and he might barrel as a bluff anyway.
Right.
So having a bluff blocker is bad. And we don't have any value blockers except for jack jack and 8-8, and jack jack doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
8-8 makes sense. Sure, Keating could have 8-8, and we block that. That's good. But there's a lot of hands that are worse in rank than this hand that we can call with instead if we want to call with a lot of hands against Keating that are better to call with. Like queen 10, for example. Like that's a worse hand than this, but it also blocks top set, which makes lots of sense, and it blocks 9-10 crucially.
And if you don't have queen 10 and neither of them are clubs, which as we see, it can't be the queen of clubs. So if we don't have the 10 of clubs in our hand, now we unblock the flush draws, which might be firing away,
Right.
which is great too.
Which means queen 10 and queen 9 are both better calls than this. It means probably 8-9 and 8-10 without clubs are also better calls than this. So if we can go that far, we could probably go further, but if we just need to go that far to find a lot of better calls than this is probably a fold, right?
Yeah, I think it probably just has to be a fold, man. Like,
I understand the desire when the guy who's known for the spewiness makes the 3x pop bet. I understand the desire to just look away and put the chips in. I definitely get it.
I mean, look, part of it would also come down to, and I don't know the answer to this, but just like what's been happening in this game, not just is Keating losing, but has been Keating making these like 2 and 3x pot bets on the river with bluffs? Because if he has been recently, that would make it a little harder to fold too, right? If he actually has that bluff in him. I don't even know if Keating has a 3x pot bluff in him. Not many people do.
Not many people do. But nonetheless, even if we've seen him do that, we still are really low in our distribution.
Yes, we are.
Based on a lot of factors. I think it's a fold either way.
I think it's a fold. I think we just have to fold this. We probably should have folded the turn anyway. Just stay out of trouble here. But yeah, we just can't call 322. But JR does.
Let's see if the solver agrees.
I can't wait to find out.
Are you ready for some surprising Pio outputs?
Yeah, I have not looked at it. Grant has. I'm very surprised already that there are surprises.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
It's just, the robots, they don't understand me. They'll never get me.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course they don't.
Because they're robots. Okay. Let's go back to the boring stuff.
Okay.
On the flop, Pio likes Keating's size. Wesley Cannon did this. He gave Keating the option to bet 5K instead of 10K. Pio prefers the 10K.
Cool.
JR has a pure call. The solvers
call with your entire call always with this hand.
Yeah.
That's what that
the
means.
solvers love saying pure. It's
No
their
need to be-
favorite word.
It means you don't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Yeah.
Pure, baby.
On the turn, we were debating a little bit whether or not Keating should bet. We like to bet. The solver really likes to bet.
Oh, good.
Wants him to bet 100% of the time.
Okay.
Jack 8, unsurprisingly, should be folded most of the time.
So far, you know what? The solver and us, we're pals.
Although Wesley did say
We're holding
there's,
hands.
there's no Alan Keating button on the solver, you
Yeah.
know, that whole thing. So maybe it would be different if there was.
Okay, but he's doing his best to give a range to Alan Keating, right? Like a big
Yeah.
range. So that's kind of the same thing.
Yep. Let's get to the river.
Okay, here we go.
And we talked about the possibility of JR leading, and Wesley in his analysis even said it makes sense to think about leading his hand here, but the solver wants to check JR's entire range.
Yep.
And that's without a Keating button even. It wants to check JR's entire range. So
Well, I mean, it knows Keating's range.
JR did it right.
Yeah.
Here's pretty surprising output.
Okay.
The solver really likes Keating's jam versus a 75K bet. It prefers a jam by a lot.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It wants him to use the smaller size for most hands on the river, but 10-9 specifically gets to jam.
Okay.
So good job, Alan Keating.
We just have to have a bluff here or there. What's our bluff? It's a 9 or a 10 in our hand with
An 8.
no clubs.
Maybe 8, 9, 8, 10, because then we block a lot of the 2 pairs that can consider calling.
Maybe.
Or Jack 9, Jack 8. That blocks Queen Jack. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's even better. I
Yeah.
think black and queen jack there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about what JR should do. And this is the most surprising output. Because I
Okay.
was kind of sure the solver was going to be on our side on this
Me
one.
too.
And be like, yeah, this is a definite fold. But it's indifferent.
So
The
it's
solver's like,
close.
yeah. It mostly wants to fold, but calls occasionally, depending on the combo. JR either loses a few $100s or barely breaks even.
I got to tell you what, if that's true, we're up against Alan Keating, who's been losing a lot and might be spewing
So
and
that makes it
tilting,
a good call
because
then.
we probably have to call.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. This is assuming that Keating actually has bluffs for $322,000, because a lot of players have 0 bluffs for $322.
Right.
I don't know. Keating really might have them. I'm not sure. But if he does, fair enough. If he doesn't, then this is just a bad call, and that's that.
I am surprised by that output.
Yeah.
But there it is. And Wesley summed it up by saying, apart from pre-flop play, Keating appears to have played it perfectly, and JR could have gone either way on the turn and river, but didn't make any big mistakes either. So the solver was pretty impressed by these players' play in this hand.
I mean, it does think that Jack 8 should be folded most of the time
Yeah.
on the turn.
Yeah.
Which we did too,
Yeah.
for $35K.
True.
But okay.
Ah, cool.
Very cool. Biggest pot in Hustler Live Casino history. Really crazy, tough, apparently super close decision on the river for JR. We're surprised by that. Are you surprised by that too? Do you think you just have to call? Have you been watching Alan Keating and these guys play and think it's more obvious than what we're saying because you've seen him play so much? Or you think it's more clearly a call or not? You think he really clearly either does or doesn't have bluffs there? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and if you want to hear what we have to say, you could read our book.
Whoa.
We haven't talked about the book for a while. We did it once before. We'll do it again. Book time. Get the book. Here's the picture. Read the book.